What's going on, everyone? Jeremy here from The Quartering, and it's finally happened.
Oh my God! Okay, it's happening. Everybody stay calm.
What's the procedure, everyone? What's the procedure?
Stay calm!
Hollywood directors are now directly referring to Get Woke, Go Broke in references to their own colossal failures.
Against the machines.
That's right, Tim Miller, one of the directors behind Terminator Dark Fate T1000, in a recent interview, just yesterday, literally referenced Get Woke, Go Broke as part of the reason why his film failed. Well, we'll actually look at his exact comments here to see if he agrees with us or not. Regardless, he's aware of the movement. Now, just a quick word from this video sponsor, and there isn't an easier one for me to do because this video sponsor is Ridge Wallet, and I've been using mine now for several months. You can see it's still in perfect condition, and I've been loving it. It helps you carry around everything you need day to day in a streamlined fashion. They have free shipping so you can get it fast, and there's over 30,000 5-star reviews. Why else would you want to get it? Well, you have the assurance of RFID blocking technology in your wallet. It doesn't bend or fold, and it always looks clean and stylish. Ridge has given me a special promo code where you can pick your Ridge wallet up today and save 10%, support the channel, and support Ridge, and, well, get a sweet new wallet. I can assure you, you'll never go back to your bifold or your trifold again. Now let's get into the video. Now, if we look back at the film he's referencing, it's Terminator Dark Fate, which put the franchise on ice at the time, losing more than $120 million. Now, I think this is there's a couple reasons for this, right? One, of course, people were pretty much bored with the Terminator franchise in and of itself. Simply making it a woman power movie wasn't going to re-inspire anyone, no matter how much you trotted out a geriatric Arnold Schwarzenegger in there. Now, if he had been the kind of the primary role, and they really made it as like a final conclusion as for the Terminator series, or made it a trilogy, wrapped everything up, I'd probably go see it. But the way the movie opened up with them, making the entire movie franchise worthless, was nothing but a slap in the face to original T2 fans, in my opinion. And of course, everyone was out there saying, well, men don't want to see this movie because woman power. Well, I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. I mean, guys will definitely go see female power movies. I mean, they went and saw Wonder Woman. That made over $1 billion. The sequel will probably make close to $1 billion. I don't think anyone really had any problem with, obviously, the actress that played Sarah Connor. She's just an awesome actress and seems to be a good person. But of course, Terminator Dark Fate completely tanked in its global box office debut, at that time grossing just $29 million. The film itself had a gigantic $185 million budget, which I think really hurt them. But then again, when you have all that CG and everything like that, you're going to have that problem. On top of that, you have a long history of bad Terminator movies that just kind of catch up to you eventually. I think that's what happens a lot of times with these franchises. It just catches up to you eventually. People will see a bad movie once or twice, but then eventually they're going to give up on you. No matter how good that third or fourth movie is, you've lost so much of the original fandom that it won't matter. But, speaking of Get Woke, Go Broke, we've seen, obviously, the box office, Birds of Prey, we look at that. $173 million worldwide. It needed between $200 and $250 million to break even. That's just to break even. There's really no way to spin this outside of the fact that it's going to lose money. I don't know how you're going to really combat that. I mean, honestly, the international market's really holding it up. If we look at the domestic daily, it's still only at 72 million domestic. Let's look at Sonic the Hedgehog, which took a very different approach to marketing, just marketing fun, marketing to the original fandom. We can see it's already at 106 million, almost 107 million in just 10 days. This in 17 days, just reaching 72 million and barely limping along. Now, if we look at, you know, the overall worldwide, you have 173 million for Birds of Prey, where Sonic is at 202 million. So Birds of Prey is doing okay internationally with $101 million. In fact, it represents a larger chunk of the actual total versus Sonic, which did so well domestically. There are new markets that need to open up for Sonic, of course, that I think will drive that into a more profitable state. But again, both films, $85 million budget for Sonic, $85 million budget for Birds of Prey. And, you know, it's this weird thing where I didn't think that they were really in any kind of competition, but it just kind of spiraled out of control. I thought that, you know, the same people would have been targeted to see Birds of Prey as would to see Sonic. Now, that's before the marketing, right? When the marketing came out, it was clearly not for men. You had one of the main actors out there talking about how it was a feminist film, and it's about toxic masculinity. These are things that make people like myself just say, I'm not going to show up. I'm not going to give you my money. In fact, there are just so many options in film that you're just better off watching something else that's good that you maybe missed a long time ago. You know, it's like I didn't see Bone Tomahawk till years after it came out, and I'm like, it's still like one of my top 20 favorite films. There are so many good films out there that you haven't seen. Why not just rent them for $1 on Redbox, or stream them, you know, on Netflix or Hulu or on Amazon Prime for a few dollars? Even on YouTube, you can get almost any movie rather than paying $15 to see it at the cinema when the marketing itself told you that they didn't want you to come. Now, with this film long ago confirming that it was going to lose money, you wonder, you know, where's the Top Gun reboot going to be? Where's a lot of these other reboots that, you know, I don't think anyone was really asking for? Now, there was an interview yesterday on a TV show or a podcast called The Business, which talks about the theatrical release delays, Terminator Dark Fate, and Sonic the Hedgehog and The Hunt. The article reads, we talked about high-profile movies that had their theatrical releases delayed for months. Filmmaker Tim Miller came on to The Business last year to do a post-mortem on Terminator Dark Fate, which was supposed to hit theaters in July 2019 but got pushed to November 2019. Miller also executive produced Sonic the Hedgehog, which underwent major surgery after video game fans criticized the character's appearance in the trailer. Miller tells us about the blowback. They also talk about Damon Lindelof and things like that. But let's just take a look. You know, I'm not going to play everything here on the podcast because if you want to listen to it, you should listen to it. But let's start this off quick.
Even if that meant starting over and pushing the release from November to February. That doesn't sound like it would work, but it did.
Yes, it did.
Miller joined us in the studio last fall to talk about bad box office for Terminator Dark Fate.
I mean, I give him credit for talking about it for sure. I'd want to move on.
There was a lot of get woke and go broke.
Ha! He said it. Confirmed. Tim Miller watches my videos.
I don't dwell online on the negativity, but it's human nature to read a little bit.
Or he reads the comments in replies to his videos. And again, I'm telling you, and I've always said that I don't believe that always that the get woke, go broke stuff comes out of like the film's intentions. What happens is it gets spun up by the media, and the overwhelming majority or loudest voices of media always want to push the same narrative, and then films get pigeonholed.
Sentiment that didn't help us, but
it didn't help you. Well, we tried to tell you.
What does that mean? I'm not sure what that
get woke. But there was a lot of issues about having 3 women.
No. See, again, Tim, that wasn't the issue. The issue is in the way that it's marketed. Like, we don't need no men, and that, you know, it's going to be girl power, which again is fine. You know, like probably like for me, like T2, for example, was like 60-40 Terminator and the relationship between him and John Connor, and then 40% Sarah Connor, because Sarah Connor was definitely a big part of the movie. It wasn't like they just like took a side character and gave her the main role.
Oh,
in
that.
lead positions and and all that stuff.
I have a hard time getting my mind to accept that people react that way.
I do too. There was quite a toxic atmosphere around this film online, which I was really surprised at.
Oh, Tim, why you gotta call us toxic?
Why the you lying? Why you always lying? Oh my God, stop lying.
We're just trying to teach you. We're just trying to teach Hollywood a lesson that no, we don't want Ghostbusters 2016. No, we don't want you to go and spit on the history of Terminator by ending John Connor, effectively making everything that happened in Terminator 2 pointless, just to push weird narratives about, people in cages at Border Patrol and all sorts of stuff like that, which was in the movie.
I shouldn't be, but I was.
It's very hard to know. You feel like the fans know what they don't want, not necessarily what they do.
Maybe. But what I can tell you is if the fans are telling you what they don't want, you probably shouldn't do that.
And you sort of feel like they're lying in wait, and some of the fans, not all, of course, but some.
Yeah.
Well, the movie lost $120 million, so you probably should have listened.
Yeah, and unfortunately, I think it is a small minority, but it's a very vocal minority.
Interesting. If we were that small, then why did the movie lose $120 to $150 million or whatever the final number was? It probably is lower than 120 now because, they've probably sold some DVDs and some merch. But yeah, I think it's reasonable that you can look at a subsection of feedback. Look, the majority of people that go and see a movie have no idea what Get Woke, Go Broke means. And they also have no idea what diversity and inclusion is or forced diversity. They never heard of any of this stuff. Normies are 85% of your audience. So I would agree that people that are aware of the Get Woke, Go Broke are probably equal to, I'd argue, slightly larger than the woke brigade. But even both groups combined is probably less than 20% of your overall audience. I think that's reasonable.
And they make a lot.
I should say, though, one of those sides, in my opinion, however biased it may be, seems to understand what the normies want. The other side seems to have continual box office disasters. So however small the Get Woke, Go Broke community is, pretty sure we know what the regular folks want. So I'm not going to play much more of this. We'll just if you want to listen to the whole podcast, you should. I don't know anything about the woman that runs it, but she seems to run a tight ship. She seems to have good industry connections. It's just interesting. Hollywood directors are hearing our message of Get Woke, Go Broke. It is being backed up by financials at the box office. So you hope that Tim learned his lesson. Who knows? Maybe it wasn't even his decision to market the film that way. And Lord knows Tim did a great job with Deadpool. He also, whatever his capacity was on Sonic, seems to be pretty good too. So keep listening, Hollywood, and we won't have to keep telling you. Hope you enjoyed this video. We'll talk to you again real soon.